tuning in to episode, what is this, 3 now? For Southwest Virginia Patriots in our conversations with the local candidates that are running for Lebanon Town Council. Tonight we have Miss Cari Bradshaw with us, who is seeking one of the seats that is currently up for grabs in the Lebanon Town Council. So what we've been doing is just giving everybody a minute to tell us who you are and what you're about. So if you want to tell everybody who you are.
Okay, like you said, I'm Cari Bradshaw. I've grown up in Lebanon, been here my whole life really. My family moved to Russell County when I was in kindergarten, so started out in Belfast and then worked my way up through Elk Garden and then to Lebanon Middle and then high school. Graduated high school in 2014. Then I attended Southwest for my first 2 years and then transferred to Liberty. I studied business there. My husband, he was in the Army. His contract ended in December, so I have him back to myself now. I don't have to share him with Uncle Sam. But yeah, so that's kind of where I am on like a personal level. My husband, he is also a police officer for a little bit, so I have a strong connection to those guys.
Right. So what made you want to decide to run for town council? I mean, I've got some experience in running for office, and it's a hard. I appreciate anybody that is willing to put their name out there to do that. So what made you decide to want to do that?
Well, I love Lebanon. I love what we do here, but there's just been a lot of like little things, like if we missed English, siding on a house, that should have been an easy, yes, we'll fix that. We messed up, we'll take care of it. We shouldn't have been any no votes on that, in my opinion. And then the issue with the boil notice last year, that was awful. Like, Facebook is not a place where you put that information out. That was the only source of, hey, there's boil notice from Wendy's to Homestead. That's a huge section of town. People were drinking the water. I didn't get the notice till 5 days into it. Like,
A day late and a dollar short there, isn't it?
yeah, like Facebook algorithms are not lined up for everybody to see something as soon as they post it. So that was a big one, and I don't know, I think we just need some fresh faces on the council, really.
One of the things that I've been working on and complaining about is communication. I mean, it's an issue everywhere, but so communication to get that message out and stuff. We use Facebook a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The newspaper wouldn't have been soon enough, obviously, so there has to be some ways for the town to communicate to its residents when we have things going on. So that's something that we would like to look at, so.
Yeah, just like we have a ton of town employees, like street department, all of those guys. Like, obviously in the last couple of weeks we see how good they are, how efficient they work. There's actually a tree down right outside here, and I drove by it, had to go down the long way, and actually I went home and got changed and came back down, and it was almost completely cleaned up in 10 minutes. It was huge. But if they would have put those guys out just with a postcard, like they did that for sewer testing. If they would have put a postcard, boil notice, don't drink the water until we announce that it's safe. Put one on every door. I've knocked on almost every door in the town. It's not that difficult.
So another issue, when you showed in your little door knockers there, that one of the big issues that I get a lot through Southwest Virginia Patriots is that the lack of transparency in government with the, in my opinion, and it's just an opinion, the overuse of executive session, the lack of communication between county government, town government, just government in general.
Yeah.
What could you see, what would be some of your ideas to try to fix that?
One of the things that I put on my Facebook page last night, I went live at the council meeting. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. I don't know why they can't do that. The board of supervisors can go live for every meeting on YouTube so that citizens can see what's happening. Why can't the town? So that's one thing that I would like to see done. another thing, like, they went to executive session, they were in there for like 45 minutes to an hour,
Right.
almost. Just,
Maybe
and then
pushing-
they come out, and I went live again, so that people could see what happens when they come out, because usually everybody leaves,
No.
so.
One of the things that somebody else brought up is when they go into executive session, from what I understand, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that they will start the meeting, have public comment at some point, go into executive session, and then everybody leaves.
Mhm.
So would you be in favor of changing when that happens? Would you like to see it at the beginning of the meeting? Would you like to see it at the end of the meeting? What would be a good, I guess, solution as opposed to what they're doing now?
I would like to see it either at the beginning or at the end. I know I have a day job, and I'm sure most of the council members also have a day job. Some of them don't, but
Yeah.
there's a few that do, so having it before the meeting could be a time conflict there.
No,
But the meetings don't start until 6 o'clock typically,
no.
so if you get off at 4, you could be out there by 5. Even if you just make an adjustment to your professional schedule at work, it's 1 day a month.
They've had, the event meetings before the town hall meeting, so I mean, it's totally doable to have that to happen.
Yeah, it shouldn't, like I said, it's 1 day a month, it shouldn't be that difficult to schedule yourself around.
One of the things that we had talked about earlier this week and one of the meetings that Angie had put together is the lack of participation with the town council and small business owners. Like when a business opens a ribbon cutting, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people showing their face. What do you think about that?
I mean, Angie can attest to that. I try to be at every town event that I can. A lot of the ribbon cuttings are during the day, so I can't make it to many of those. But all the events in the evenings, I just started a job at the DMV, so my schedule is a lot more apt to let me be involved with the events, as opposed to working in Abingdon. It's a 40-minute commute one way, so that was kind of tough, but now I'll be more available to the citizens, and I have a phone. Everybody in town just about has my phone number now, so I'm always one phone call away. Shoot me a text, and I'll get back to you.
So, one of the things that I do care a tremendous amount is the small business, because we're in part of the chamber, and doing the ribbon cuttings is a part. But one of the things that I'm struggling with right now is that we don't have really anything in place to encourage anybody to open up a business, or to help them get started, or to be sustainable. I mean, we really don't have any plan at all, and so that's why I wanted to host the meetings, was to, work on a plan. Is there anything that you thought of that we need here, or would be good here, or a plan that the town council could be part of to help improve that want to be part of the community and open up a business?
Yeah, I think we should definitely offer incentives to help small business owners especially. We have a ton of shops here on Main Street even. There's a couple across the street that are just sitting there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in there. That's not generating a tax base. And the more businesses we have, the less we have to tax the private citizens.
And we are getting ready to lose 1.5, I guess, because Lebanon Discount Furniture is part of East Lily Commons. So, I mean, we're gonna be losing those by the end of the year, so, I mean, that has to be
They sold
replaced
a
in
lot.
some way, so.
So that's gonna be a huge loss for the community and for the town especially, because we're losing that tax base.
If you're elected, would you want to work towards some kind of, a plan to provide incentives and maybe do some kind of, a contest, for lack of a better word, to, put out some grant money for, some new business opportunities?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I have a pretty good working relationship with the IDA and the Board of Supervisors, and I'm sure that I could get them to help us out also with publicizing that, because they have all of the connections and the networking to help us attract more businesses and encourage more small businesses to take root and to continue to grow and develop. One of the things that really bothers me is when small businesses come in and then they're gone.
Yes, and we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones that we've done ribbon cuttings for aren't here anymore, so. And for whatever reason, it's hard to own a business nowadays, so we really need to figure out a way to support our small mom and pop places.
One of the things that has come up throughout these interviews has been the way that we've cut taxes in one area and then kind of pushed other areas where you're paying money upward. I think that not too long ago, the town council had reduced property tax and then the water bills come up. What do you have any ideas on that or thoughts about how we're adjusting that? I mean, and just as an opinion, it seems like this will happen during the election season where we can say that we're cutting taxes, but then we're going to, under the table, increase it somewhere else.
I definitely think that was the case. We have 3 sitting members running for the general election seat and 1 running for the remainder of the special election seat.
Right.
So obviously it's going to be good for those 4 to cut taxes, to put up a good face for the community.
Right.
But then I was doing the math the other day. Private citizens are going to pay more long term for their water bill.
Right.
Water, sewer, and trash, they're going to pay more for that than what the property taxes would have been. And not to mention business water prices, they've gone up too.
I mean, I'm not in favor of increasing taxes. I would never do that. I just think that people, if you can explain it in such a way that these chemicals are costing more, this is why our water bill's coming up or having to increase, I think people can stomach that. What I don't think people appreciate is this just being sprung on them. And again, it goes back to a lack of communication. It's not specific to Lebanon. It's one of those issues that it's throughout county government. I mean, I follow what the Board of Supervisors does a lot. I would never be in front or in favor of increased taxes. If people knew where their money was going, then I think they can stomach that a little bit more. And I just don't see that communication happens. And it's not a popular message, it's not one of those things where you're not going to gain any votes from saying, well, we're going to increase your taxes, but if you can explain it in such a way that...
Yeah, and I don't see any reason personally to increase taxes.
No.
One of the things on my platform is wise spending.
No.
The budget needs to be gone through, it's a 1-page document.
No.
That's not a budget.
Right.
Each department should have one or multiple pages.
No.
You don't know how they're spending the money.
Right.
I know I was talking to someone the other day, the flowers in town are astronomical. They get them out of a greenhouse in Bristol. Why aren't we letting vocational school kids start those flowers and instead, that would save a huge chunk of change.
Right.
We have supposedly $9.5 million in the bank. We have that much money. Why can't we use that instead of raising taxes and not supporting their law enforcement? On that note, there's 52 agencies that the police academy serves. We're the only agency that does not have Leos for the officers.
Why is that? Somebody else brought that up. I find that interesting. Why is that? Is it something that the county, or I keep saying county, the town government isn't in favor of, or is it just not been pushed?
It's been brought up multiple times. I've gone through the minutes for the last 4 years. I've seen it 2 or 3 times so far in my research. It's kind of like they just sweep it under the rug. It's mentioned and then it's not brought up anymore.
No.
And we've lost 11 officers in the last 2 years. We shouldn't have that high of a turnover.
Where are they going?
We've lost a lot to the county and a lot to surrounding communities.
And what would you say what does that do to a law enforcement department, losing that amount of people?
Yeah, I mean, what would it do to any business? Angie, what would you do if every month you had to hire a new employee?
Well, I only have one.
Should be hard.
Yeah.
I will say that, it is very hard to hire for that department. Not everybody wants to put their life on the line. You basically have to have a calling to do that job.
Absolutely.
And when the pay is not comparable and you don't have the benefits that are comparable, we are gonna lose people.
Absolutely.
And what people don't realize, and this, you've degrees in business, so you'll get this. When you train somebody, there's a cost in that.
Exactly.
So instead of having one on the road working, you've got two on the road, one working and one training. And there's a payout for that. So if you, let's say $5,000 to train one, that's in the academy. That's not counting on the road to learn where everything is. So let's do the benefit of the doubt, we spend $5,000 for that. 11 people is $55,000. That's gone down to 2 because we've lost them, right? So from a business standpoint, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and from what I understand, you can pay for the Leos over time, so it's not an upfront huge chunk of change. You have time to pay that. $55,000, that could be one year's worth of the payment.
Right.
But you're paying
And giving them the benefit of the doubt too, it is a small town, so we don't have a tremendous amount. I mean, we're not a big city crime, but we want them to be skilled in their training too. I mean, you don't want a new fresh face every month or every 6 months or whatever. That holds some danger.
It does.
So you want people to be skilled and trained, and we want to keep the ones that are skilled and trained for a long time.
Yeah. If the officers aren't familiar with the community, they don't know really who the citizens are, where stuff is in town. Like, if I said, oh, I'm in the house 3 blocks past Ginny B's. What if they don't know what Ginny B's is?
Yeah, I mean, if they're not from here and want to race here, they're not going to, I mean, even though the town is small, they're not going to know where that is. And that, I mean, 2 minutes is life or death for some situations.
Absolutely.
I mean, and going along with that, you have people that develop trust in these officers, and once that is gone, then it takes time and effort and, you know, money to try to build that trust back. So, I would hope that that's something that we can focus on, especially, and I've heard that $9.5 million amount come up several times. I'm not a business person, I'm a nurse, but it would seem to me that we should be investing as much of that back into the town. I mean, we've done great as far as rehabilitating, you know, with the lamp post and all those things.
Yeah.
It seems to me we should be investing in other areas as well.
Yeah, I think the last few years especially has been great for the town, getting a facelift and putting that investment into making the town look appealing. But now that the town looks the best it's ever looked in my life. It looks phenomenal. But now that the town does look that good, we should be able to appeal more to small businesses to come in and take root and continue to be here for the long term.
Right. Getting back to transparency in government, it's something that I harp on to many people's chagrin.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've talked about is when you get into a position, it needs to be about self-service or public service rather, not self-service. Are you in favor of taking a pledge or signing something or passing something that would prevent council members or in this situation, council members from bidding on contracts or things like that?
Yeah, I think that's a huge conflict of interest. If there's ever a situation where, like, say I'm on like the Parks and Rec board, if we're voting to drop a lot of money on Parks and Rec, I would have to abstain from that vote because I would have a bias to that.
So that's what, that is a very common theme that I get in my communication with the Russell County community is that, well, they're lining their own pockets, and I can see where they're coming from, because you see all of these things that are happening, and it gives a bad impression, you know what I mean? So I'm glad to hear you say that.
And along with that, one of the things we have talked about is, along with transparency and answering questions, is when nothing is said, speculation takes place.
Yeah.
And speculation and gossip, runs amok, and we don't know what is happening if nobody tells us. So of course people are gonna speculate on it. And one of the other things along that lines is, and this is with all the meetings, whether it's the county board of supervisors, the town council, whatever, public comment is a sore subject for a lot of people, because you want, if you're gonna make a comment, it's because you care about something.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get out there and you got 3 minutes to rant or stomp your feet or whatever that you're there to do, it's crickets, because they can't answer you. So one of the suggestions is to do some kind of round table every so often, maybe every quarter, where you meet with a couple of the council members, the community does, to be able to talk and have that communication together and ask a question and have that expectation that you're gonna leave with some kind of answer. Is that something that you would be willing to do as a council member, to put yourself out there to get questioned and have to respond?
Absolutely. One thing that I've kind of been thinking about, honestly, in my campaign, is trying to get one of the rooms at the rec center to invite the people in the town to come meet me. I know I've been to almost every doorstep in the county, but there's been a few that I've just left a door hanger on. So I've got it flagged on my map to go back to those spots to see if the people are home, to introduce myself that way. But if people have more questions than what they ask me in the 5-10 minutes that I'm there talking to them, a lot of people, when you knock on their door, they're not really expecting that. So they're not in the thought mode of, oh, why aren't we doing this, why aren't we doing that? It's kind of like, you just rang my doorbell, and now you're talking to me, you want me to have all these questions ready. So I think that I would love to have like town halls, round tables, to talk to the community.
So while you've been out door knocking, have people been really receptive and have asked you questions?
Yeah, I haven't gotten any negative feedback whatsoever. A lot of the community, they're ready for the change. I can't tell you how many times I've been told, we need some young blood on the council, we need new faces. Those guys of the council, they've all been in there for so long, we need change. Just about every person I talk to said that.
Which is why it's very important to go vote. I mean, we're,
Absolutely.
what, 3 weeks away from yesterday? From the go time. So if we're wanting to see change, these people really want change, they got to get out and vote.
Yeah.
I think early voting's already started, so they can go ahead and vote now. So, do you have any other questions?
Okay.
I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. What is the top handful of items that you think are the most pressing issues for Lebanon right now? Just 30 seconds to give your spiel.
My top things, it's what my platform's been built on the entire time. Transparency, proper support for law enforcement and first responders. Just being more community involved. I know I go to a lot of the events and you don't see a lot of the council there. You see one or two, but that's usually it. Just being there for the people. You are a public servant. You're not there for yourself. You represent the people. That's your job.
It's the way it should be. So, thank you for showing up this evening. Thank you for agreeing to talk to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.